Hey everybody! So I've been talking a lot about tableau building and grid games a lot lately on my channel, and Shake That City is another one, but there are some really cool features that make it stand out, so stay tuned and I'll tell you why. In Shake That City, players are building a little mini city on this 6x6 grid in front of them. And it's just pretty straightforward because there are only 5 different types of tiles, and these tiles, much like other city building or tile laying games like Suburbia, Subdivision, I'd even say Castles of Mad King Ludwig, because there are ways that you want to build things next to things. You want to connect things using roads, you want to put parks in certain places, and so forth, because of course factories are going to really mess up that kind of residential or home area. So that stuff is pretty classic, pretty recognizable. But the really cool thing about this is you've got this device, and this device drops down cubes in a 3x3 configuration. So at the very beginning of the round, you've got 15 rounds to place tiles. The start player is going to shake that city, kind of get things organized. And then you're going to push this in, pull it back, and then you're going to move it over here. Perfect. Look at that. It worked. Ah, it's so exciting. So now you've got this configuration of cubes which match the colors for the tiles. Now, the start player will look at this grid and say, do I want, in this case, no black showed up, which is your factories, but I've got these parks, I've got these homes, which are the red, the residential. The blue is going to be the shops, and then the gray is going to be the roads that connect. So I'm looking at this, and when I pick a color as the start player in the first 12 rounds, which play is going to pass, so you don't always get to be first, but what I pick is off limits for everybody else that round. So I'm going to look at these and I'm going to say, okay, do I want parks? Do I want those? Do I want these or that? So I'm going to say, let me grab my parks, right? Yeah, why not? Let's grab some parks. I'm going to grab 3, and I have to put that in that particular configuration on my board with the same orientation. There is no flipping, no mirroring, no shifting, no rotating. It has to look just like that, but it can be anywhere on my board. So I could take that one and go there. I go over 2 and down 1. I go over 1 and over 1 again. And you'll see that that configuration is here on my board, or I could put it essentially anywhere else in that configuration all over. So you're going to start to see your board fill up, and that configuration is going to become incredibly restrictive. But right now I pretty much have my entire board. So what am I going for? Why am I picking parks over shops and over and anything else like homes or residential areas? Well, up here I've got my scoring board that tells you exactly how everything scores at the end of the game. But in addition to that particular scoring, you've got these scoring markers on the edge of your board that run along the left side and the top. And it gives you a particular goal for 2 columns. And I think that just works incredibly well. I think it's just so smart. So here, if you look, I see some parks. It says here, if I get 4 parks in this column, I will earn 3 victory points. That's great. Now in the same section, because columns are kind of paired together, it says if you just fill up that entire column or row, you're going to receive the same points. So you only get to score for each grouping. So once I complete this green or all filled up, I flip it over because I'm only allowed to score it 1 time. Right? I can't do both of those. So I really want to say, okay, am I going for the color here or the type of tile, or am I just going for en masse, right? I just want to fill up the entire thing. So that's one consideration for which one I'm going to pick for the color. But then also, you're going to take a look up here and see greens, it looks like score 1 point for any adjacent home, 1 point for any adjacent factory, and if you have one of each, it's 2 points. And that's all just simply here with that iconography. You also are going to see the distribution of cubes. You have much, much fewer of these road cubes than you do your home cubes. And that's going to influence your choice as well. That's the third factor to consider. So me taking parks and having 3 in 1 drop is pretty good, right? And if I start placing those factories and those homes adjacent to my parks, then I'm going to start scoring those up really well. So that was a good move. I feel really strong about my parks for like a variety of reasons. And now, at the same time, after I pick the color that I want, everybody else at the table is going to select either red or blue or gray, and they can all pick the same or different. They just can't pick green because I picked green as the active start player. That's it. That's the game. I've taught you everything you need to know. So what's going to happen is after this round, we move the marker to 2. We will pick up all of these cubes, and I'm going to drop them back in that little hole right there. And then we will pass the shaker. So what I'm going to do is just randomly, I'm going to say the next player is going to take the black. Let's just say they're going to take black, whatever that configuration is, and then I'm going to be able to pick something else because I don't have a fake opponent right now. I don't have anybody. So let's see what we get. We go push, put it back, and lift. Okay, well, no blacks came out, so what's the next thing? They could either pick that sidewalk concrete or they could pick the blue. Let's have them pick blue because there's so many blue out there. Blue is really cool. Now let me tell you, these are shops and people want to get to shops, and shops can be anywhere on your board, but they get more and more valuable the closer they are to the center, because this out on the outside is essentially a big road. It's a big, travel zone. And if you look right here, it says if your blue is in the green ring, you're going to receive 1 point for that blue tile. If it's in the brown ring and has a connection with the road back to the edge, it's worth 2 points. And if it's here in the center for the gray, that single blue tile is worth, you guessed it, 3 points as long as you get connected all the way back to the board. So really, really cool. A fantastic way to score for blues. They're really, really popular. And if I could, I would put 2 blues right here and 1 right here, because that's the configuration that I've got with my board. Starting off with 2 blues in the center and then spending the rest of the game trying to get back out to the edge is pretty smart, as opposed to moving your way in and just praying or hoping that you get the blue that you want. Meanwhile, you've got these roads built, and sure, they're going to give you points. Every road you've got connected back to the edge is going to be a victory point, but it's nicer to have the blues. Now, the reds out here are really good because you want those reds to not be adjacent to factories. Of course, residential areas don't want to be close to factories, but they do want to be close to, they don't want to be close to other residential areas. You want pockets of these. So if you have 1 red, it's going to be a pocket. All by itself, 2 points. If you have any connected to it, it's still going to only be 2 points. So you essentially want house, 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 kind of hopping all over your board. And here there are already 2 collections of houses, and they kind of devalue each other because there are too many houses. So if I were the start player, I may not want to actually take the red. I might take that blue, which means that me, as Kim, as the not start player, is going to have to take this gray or the red or the green. And that's it. You keep going turn by turn. Now, the really cool thing is that when you get to rounds 13, 14, and 15, the start player kind of doesn't exist anymore. Someone's going to drop the cube, someone's going to shake the city and move it over, but there's no getting in the way of your color and the choice you make as the start player. Everybody can pick whichever grouping they want, and you're really going to need it. So I think there are just several really, really fun things that change this game up, that make it fascinating, really fun and interesting. I love the way that shake comes out. I love that you put the cubes back in every time and you drop from the same pool of cubes that you've got available. And you've got these tiles that can be changed, right? They're single, spaces. So next time you organize the game, you might have things in totally different places. And so, yeah, you're going to score your roads here, you're going to score your shops here, your green parks here, and your homes. But then next time it's going to be something else entirely. And this corner one, you want variety, which, yes, so cool. Now, here's the cool thing too. Watch this. I can turn this board right over, and guess what? Now I've got a beachfront property. Yeah, let's put it right here. Doesn't matter how you orient it, as long as everybody orients it the same way, so that when you drop the cubes, everyone's board has the exact same identical orientation. That's the one major rule. But you'll see here that this is waterfront. This is the gray area, this is your brown area, this is your green area, and over here is your sidewalk. And so it'll change the configuration for your board so that you can play on a different board that gives you different parameters, which again, fantastic. And then the other cool thing is that there is a construction variant. And if you want to add the construction variant, you start with these pieces on your board. Everybody's going to start with these construction pieces, and they show up on your board like this, and they essentially block those spaces until you build the required piece, and then they come off. So it just adds further planning, restrictions, and requirements to your game, and I think it makes the game way more advanced and more crunchy, which I really like. And every player is going to have 4 of a set, essentially. So you've got a pairing with the gray and a green. You've got the red and the blue. What's my last one that I'm missing? I've got it's probably a red. Let me see here. A red and a gray. And so you place these out of 4. And when you place your tile down adjacent to it, or orthogonal, and it has one of those matching colors, then you're able to take that off. And so that's how you're able to get these off, is by placing that tile down directly next to it. So again, it just adds a little bit of juiciness. It adds just this really nice planning strategy. And there's even a further variant that says if you're not able to get all of these off, then you're not allowed to score your board. Now that's a second variant that's part of this construction variant. It seems really harsh. I haven't played with that. I've only played with just the construction basic variant. But I think it's really, really fun. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, and again, there's so many cool things about Shake That City, but this is the other. There is a solo variant. And so if you want to play this just the way I've got it set up in this tableau, with you've got your pieces, you've got your score track, you've got your how you score, you've got your box, and you just want to do one single player, there is a solo variant. And in this solo variant, players play with the construction tiles, and they also are not allowed to take the cube color of the most cubes dropped every round until they get to 13, 14, and 15, in which they're allowed to take any that they want. But if this dropped and it's my solo game, I'm not allowed to take the reds. I can take the blues, the green, or the gray, but I'm not allowed to take that in the solo variant. So that's the restriction, is the one that has the most is not the one that you're allowed to take. So it's really, really fun. It makes a whole lot of sense, and I think it just plays super fast. So for me, Shake That City has a lot to offer, particularly replayability with just some small variants and alternate boards that players can use in just the base game, no expansions needed. And so this QB box is just something else. I sure do like it. I'm gonna do one more drop because it's just fun. It's really fun and it's super easy. I do push, I pop it out, bam, every time. Perfect 3x3. It's super, that's the coolest part about being a start player. Now in this case, wow, finally all of those factories showed up. I got a lot of blues there, a green and a red. It's just fun, it's tactile, and I love this tile building, this city construction element with these tiles on the edge. You know, you can move them around, they don't have to be in the same place every time, and so it's just so accessible and it's super easy to teach. This is a fantastically fun game that I can't see taking more than 45 minutes to play no matter how many players, all the way up to the max player count, because after the first player takes their cubes, everything else is simultaneous play. And with only 15 rounds, it goes by super fast. So tons to like about Shake That City, and I hope you appreciated my explanation, overview, and run through of a turn and all the cool features that I really appreciate as a gamer. All right, folks, I'll see you later. Bye.